Welcome. Our story begins in Rijeka, Croatia, in 1934, where Mihalyi Csikszentmihalyi is born to Hungarian ambassadors. As the destruction of World War II spreads across Europe, one of his brothers is killed, and another is sent to Siberia. His hometown is bombed, and his family flees to Italy. The world is in disarray. But being the son of an ambassador, he is well educated. He grows up speaking several languages, playing chess, and reading many books. He is uninterested in school, however. During the war, he sees many intellectuals and highly educated members of society sink into utter despair and feels that their education did not prepare them for such drastic events. He later reflects, "When I was 10, I felt that adults did not understand what was happening in the world, and I wanted to understand why this was so." Accordingly, he begins to read philosophy, literature, and religion to try to make sense of the world. At 16, he works as a translator and a waiter in a restaurant. One weekend, he travels to Switzerland on a ski trip with several friends. Unfortunately, a thaw melts the snow, and Mihai is forced to find another pastime. He sees a flyer for a lecture at a local university. The topic is flying saucers. The speaker claims that these floating discs represent the archetype of the mandala, symbolizing the unified understanding that the world is desperately seeking in the midst of chaos. The speaker is none other than Carl Jung, and Mihai is inspired to study psychology. So in 1956, Mihai travels to America to study psychology at the University of Chicago. He arrives with $1.25 and works nights to put himself through school. He is disappointed in psychology, however. By this time, the psychoanalysis of Jung and Freud has largely been rejected for the behaviorism of B.F. Skinner and others. Behaviorism seeks to make psychology an empirical science and studies observable behavior in tightly controlled experiments. Mihalyi Csikszentmihalyi's reputation as an ambitious scholar grows, but he does not forget the events of his early life. He becomes increasingly dissatisfied with meta-narratives which reduce behavior to mere stimulus response. He recalls the vast array of reactions people had to the chaotic events of the war. Some lost hope while others found the will to go on. He remembered the ingenious games some people entertained themselves with in the concentration camps. He finds it difficult to believe that all this can be explained by external factors such as the pursuit of money, power, pleasure, or approval. In fact, he began to wonder whether there was a connection between the alienation that came from chasing these external rewards and the destruction he had witnessed in 20th century Europe. But he has other experiences to draw from as well. He recalls the stunning beauty of Italian art and architecture. He recalls the joy of a good game of chess. He remembers the euphoric challenge of rock climbing. He finds no explanation for these activities in the existing theories. He sarcastically jokes that maybe he only plays chess because he has a repressed desire to kill his father, the king. He becomes interested in activities that people do for no reason. In other words, activities that are their own reward. For example, rock climbing doesn't give you any traditional rewards, but many people still enjoy it. As his project evolves, he identifies 3 domains of inquiry, which each provide an important perspective but are insufficient on their own. He finds the concept of intrinsic motivation a necessary remedy for the external and deterministic narratives of his day, but he feels the way it has been studied is still too sterile and detached from everyday life. He finds the literature on play to also be important, but feels it has been associated with frivolity and set in distinction to real life and serious pursuits like work. Finally, he draws from reports of peak experiences but feels they are purely descriptive and fail to provide a deep understanding of the reasons behind the experiences. So Mihalyi Csikszentmihalyi begins to interview people who participate in activities which require a significant amount of skill and expenditure of energy but provide few external rewards. He refers to these activities as autotelic due to the fact that they are a goal, telos, in themselves, auto. He interviews chess masters, composers, dancers, rock climbers, and athletes. From these interviews, he identifies a key term. Participants describe their experience in these activities as flowing. Some say it feels like being carried down a river. Others say it feels spontaneous and automatic. They feel paradoxically effortless but in control. Csikszentmihalyi begins to suspect that this is an important phenomenon and starts to build the theory of flow. In this series, we will follow the twists and turns of flow as it winds its way through some of the greatest mysteries of philosophy, psychology, and cognitive science. But it is important to remember the origin story. It is a story that begins with real people and real experiences such as loss, despair, boredom, anxiety, frustration, hope, joy, and awe. It is also a grand narrative that aims to understand the ways societies thrive and collapse. Csikszentmihalyi hoped to maintain the rigor and precision of science without losing touch with the most meaningful experiences of everyday people. Flow was born from a deep desire to understand the full range of human experience. Flow researchers themselves have been shaped by these experiences, as well as the theories and methods available to them. As we unpack the theory and research, we will explore fundamental assumptions about experience, causality, and explanation. Along the way, we will grapple with some of the most puzzling paradoxes and deepest divides in psychology and cognitive science. In the process of creating this series, I've considered what level of complexity and technical nuance I should include. Studying a topic in detail can often be lonely and isolating. You see watered-down pop science and psychology directing people's attention, clicks, and money, while peddling sensationalized or often inaccurate claims. I also understand that dense language and academic terminology can discourage people. But I think we're also capable of more than we realize, especially when we're driven by curiosity. So my sincerest intention is to keep jargon at a minimum and speak in plain language. It's possible that some of the content may still be challenging, but if you're interested in flow, I think you might be up for that. I'd like to frame this journey as a shared path of discovery that touches on some deep and meaningful mysteries. I'm also going to do my best to list my sources at the end of each lecture and give you some open source links for further reading if you're interested. I welcome questions and discussion. Feel free to comment or shoot me a message at any point. I hope you enjoy the series, and I will see you next time.